Good afternoon, guys. It's Saturday, June 25th. My name is Dave Coker, and this is Talking About Finance. Okay, let's take a look at the S&P 500 over the last week. Not a bad week, up about 6.4% on the week. Now it's down about 17.9% year to date. And look at the sector map. Everything except energy was up. It's really interesting that energy is burning off and everything else is up. A couple red blocks here and there. Philip Morris got whacked. Not totally sure why it got whacked, and some other tobacco companies didn't get whacked because Mr. Biden's going to take the nicotine out of cigarettes rather. I don't smoke, but I hear it'll take the fun out. So that's why that's down. But otherwise, it's pretty good. The VIX traded down, closing the week at 27.23. Seems to be mellowing out, but remember, these epic market crashes always seem to happen in the autumn. So I'm hopeful, but I'm also suspicious. We'll talk a little bit later about my behavior. The 10-year note closed down this week at 3.13. It's up 1.6% year to date. So let's take a look at what we see. Treasury yields are falling. Stocks are rising. This is giving people some hope. The Fed is doing just one more 70 basis point hike, then they're going to pause, which is pretty consistent with Powell's public statements. We won't know until we know. So we'll see. Oil closed the week at 107.59. It's down about 0.4% week on week, but it's up about 43% year to date. So it looks like the market's calming somewhat. Well, guys, to be honest with you, I'm a little concerned because we haven't seen the 3 standard deviation move in the VIX. And as we've mentioned since the beginning of this series, it isn't until we see these big movements in the VIX that we can legitimately, and historically, if we go back and look at prior crashes or corrections, we can legitimately say it's over. So it's not really clear to me if the bottom's in here and we're onwards and upwards. So still, I'm not changing my routine. Creature of habit. Every Friday morning I buy Bitcoin. I buy Ripple whenever the mood strikes, starting to get a seriously large position in Ripple. And I buy stocks typically the first business day of the month after all the dividends from the prior month have been paid and posted to my account, and I'm ready to rumble. This is what I do, guys. Fully invested at all times. No debt. Lots of dividend-paying stocks. Many rental properties. My God, I want each and every one of you to feel the freedom that I feel, and you can do it. Just rid yourself of these silly notions that you're a trader. You're not. Sorry, voice of realism here. You're not. You can't trade. You should invest. Trading ain't investing, it's gambling, and gambling's no way to get rich, as we're soon going to see. So the night is young, guys. Plan this evening for your financial freedom, and you'll get it faster than you thought was possible. Now, this is interesting. These old billionaires are pretty smart guys, and I got a lot of time for the Berkshire Hathaway guys. Charlie Munger, smart men go broke 3 different ways: liquor, ladies, and leverage. Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah, he's an interesting character. You should read about him. He had a big turnaround in life. Early on, he was fairly wealthy, and then he lost it all after his kid died. Tragic story, and turned it all around. And now he's, Berkshire Hathaway partners. He's doing quite well there. Here's some stuff from my research. And once again, we can take a look, and we'll talk further about this, how I put this in on television this week. We can take a look at the median house price to the median wage. We can calculate a ratio. And in Q1 2006, that ratio was 141%. In Q4 2021, the ratio is 160%. And guys, we all know what happened in 2007, 2008. We saw this epic house price crash in the States and pretty much across the Western democracies as well. Won't be any different this time, guys. Just plan for it. And Americans, though, they don't seem to get the message. They're still spending money. We can see pre-pandemic, they were averaging roughly $190 per person per month for food services and drinking, going out to pubs, going out to restaurants. Now it's about $253. So yeah, they're still splashing the cash out, a little bit ahead of trend, even if you account for inflation. So it's really interesting to see how far this goes. Now, we're starting to get an idea about the scale of the inflationary problem. Remember, CPI tracked above 8%. Some analysts, who I respect very much, are saying it's going to touch 11%, maybe a little bit higher than 11% before it starts to drop. Guys, if we go back to the last heavy and high inflation episode we had in the States, in 1983, we had huge inflation. Back then, debt to GDP was 37%. The Fed, to combat inflation, pushed interest rates up to above 19%. Well, look at this. Our debt to GDP ratio right now is 123%. We can't afford it. We honestly can't afford to put rates up that high. Even if we pushed them up to 5%, we'd be paying roughly $2 trillion just for interest, to service interest alone. The national budget's about $4.7 trillion. It ain't gonna happen. And that makes me think we're gonna get used to higher inflation. It ain't going back to 2%. I really doubt that. I'd be surprised to see it go below 5%. So just get used to it. Adapt. Now, we had this thing back then called the misery index that we used to track. Excuse me. I still track it. And the misery index is nothing more than the sum of the unemployment rate and the inflation rate. Again, back in the 1980s, the last period of high inflation. And guys, this is all off the research I sell banks. We saw the misery index spike up to 21.75. Right now it's 11.67. It's only because unemployment is relatively low. Well, guess what? Larry Summers says he wants to see another 10 million Americans become unemployed to start to whip inflation. Yeah, you're going to be hearing about the misery index in a major way. Why? It's going to be politicized. Like it was back there in the late 70s, early 80s, back when Ronald Reagan ran against Jimmy Carter, and he successfully politicized the misery index. If you never heard of the misery index, you're going to hear it and hear it often in the next run-up to elections. And guys, Bitcoin is 13 years old. This post, this clip, I should say, was when the internet was roughly 13 years old. And really, like Will Rogers said, all predictions are wrong. Who knows what's going to happen? I just don't think Bitcoin's going away. We'll talk further about that a little bit later, right? Oh, yeah. And guys, check it out. I was interviewed by Al Jazeera Thursday, actually, on counting the cost. And there I am. I'm excited. Talking about finance as usual. And I went through a lot of the stuff that I'm mentioning this evening. And we're going to have to see how this all plays out. I'm a little dubious they're going to be able to get it under control. I wish them well. But their track record is very bad in terms of getting inflation under control and not causing a recession. Still, we're always going to have Bitcoin, guys. Interesting chart here. We've got 3 different types of currencies, Bitcoin, gold, and fiat. And we've got different properties of the currencies, ranging from durability all the way down to censorship resistant. Well, look who the clear winner is in terms of A's and A pluses. Fiat. Why in God's name do people hold fiat? I have to admit, I refuse to walk around without a few $100 in my pocket. Oh. And if you heard me say that, if you think, yeah, easy target, I'm from New York. My street name was Two-Fisted Death. Let's go. But regardless, we see that Bitcoin stomps gold. Now, guys, don't approach this as an either or. I own both Bitcoin and gold, and clearly I've got fiat in my pocket. Yeah, you need all this stuff, but it's interesting to compare the 3 and see. Plan B is back with his stock to flow model. Once again, take a look at him at 100 trillion USD on Twitter. A very active guy. He's got multiple representations now about where Bitcoin is currently, the red dots, and where he believes it should be according to different models. And his model's been very, very accurate. So just keep the faith, guys. I've got a lot of faith. Oh, and check this out. Go on Medium. I'm starting to recycle some of my bank research in abbreviated form onto Medium. And I wrote an article for my banking clients last week, actually, which is how Al Jazeera got a hold of me. And we can talk later about that. But the point is, we're in what a lot of people call crypto winter. And some people, they think they should pull out of the market totally. Some people think they shouldn't engage the markets. Why? Crypto winter. Prices go sideways. They don't go up, they don't go down, they just move sideways. That's the best time to buy. Remember, I engage in dollar cost averaging, guys. You should too. Every Friday morning for years, I've been buying Bitcoin. I use the same amount of money every week. I buy Bitcoin every Friday. I bought Bitcoin last Friday. I'll buy it next Friday. I'm going to keep on going. Because we know sooner or later, at least I'm very confident, the price of Bitcoin is going to be higher than it is now. And this philosophy has helped me out greatly. I'm not going to tell you about my gains, but I've been buying Bitcoin for a long time. Keep in mind, when I started, you can get Bitcoin for under $100. Yeah, do yourself a favor. Buy a little bit of Bitcoin once a week, once a month, once a quarter, just a little bit. You don't have to buy a Bitcoin. I certainly don't. But put 10 quid in, 50 quid, 100 quid. Put what you can afford in and just buy. Dollar cost averaging. It's the only way to get rich. So yeah, check me out on Medium, guys. My name is Dave Coker, as you know. And it's been a real pleasure speaking this evening. You're going to have a great week. I'm getting a good vibe from this week coming up. I really, really am. I'm totally excited. In another week, I'll have a bunch of money. All my dividends will be paid. Then I get to buy stock. But until then, I'll buy Bitcoin. And I also buy Ripple. I've been telling you, I think I mentioned to you guys. Well, I didn't mention until I had a big position. Now it's getting to be a seriously big position in Ripple. XRP, it's about 30p a coin, roughly, I don't know, about 40 cents. I don't know what it is in monopoly money, US dollar, who knows? Yeah, check it out, though. I'm buying it. I don't buy a lot of these altcoins. I'm comfortable with Ripple. I'm comfortable with Bitcoin. You could be too. Take care, guys. Thanks for your time. The night is young. And the wife and I are going up to London. We're going to check out Dandy Warhols if we can scalp tickets. Sold out. But I'm pretty persuasive out there on the curb. I'll get some tickets. And if necessary, I'll trade some Bitcoin. Excellent.